The Iron Rose. Act I. The Dust and the Dust Bag. The rain in Lyari didn't wash the streets. It just turned the poverty into mud. In a tiny 2-room shack that smelled of damp concrete and old medicine, 19-year-old Noor lived with her mother, Sakina, and her 7-year-old brother, Ali. Noor's hands were not like other girls' hands. They were calloused, scarred, and perpetually wrapped in cheap cotton bandages. By day, she washed dishes at 3 different houses, her back aching from bending over sinks. By night, she walked into the dimly lit, smoke-filled basement of the Lyari Boxing Club. The gym was a graveyard of broken dreams, run by Coach Tariq, a man with a permanent scowl, a limp from a crooked knee, and a heart he hid behind a wall of gruff insults. Tariq had sworn off training girls. In this conservative neighborhood, a girl putting on boxing gloves was seen as a scandal. But Noor was different. She didn't just want to box. She needed to box. Every punch she threw at the torn, duct-taped punching bag was a strike against the landlord who threatened to evict them, against the pharmacy that refused her mother's asthma medication on credit, and against the hunger that clawed at her brother's stomach. "Your stance is trash, Noor," Tariq would yell, spitting into a corner. "You fight like a wild animal. Animals get slaughtered in the ring. You need discipline." "Then teach me, coach," Noor said, wiping sweat and blood from her lip. Her eyes burned with a ferocity that made the old trainer pause. In those eyes, he saw a champion. Act 2. The Rhythm of Love and Resistance. As Noor's training intensified, so did the pressures of the outside world. The neighborhood elders whispered. Her uncle arrived at their house one evening, slamming his fist on the table, demanding that Noor quit the shameless sport and marry a man twice her age to pay off the family debts. Sakina, though frail and coughing, stood in front of her daughter. "She will not marry a grave, brother. Let her fight." It was during these darkest weeks that Zain entered her life. Zain was a sports photojournalist who had come to Lyari to do a feature on street athletics. The first time he saw Noor through his camera lens, he forgot to click the shutter. She was a vision of raw, unfiltered poetry, stepping, dodging, throwing hooks under a single flickering light bulb. Zain became a permanent fixture at the gym. He brought her proper nutritional supplements, disguised as free samples, helped Ali with his homework, and walked Noor home through the dangerous alleys after dark. One night, sitting on the rooftop of Noor's shack, under a canopy of smoggy stars, Zain handed her a brand new pair of professional leather boxing gloves. They were crimson red. "I can't accept this, Zain. It's too expensive," Noor whispered, touching the pristine leather. "They aren't a gift, Noor. They're an investment," Zain said softly, placing his hand over hers. "I've seen the world through a lens, Noor. Most people are just background noise. You are the whole movie. You're going to win the national championship. Let me be the one who documents the rise of the queen." In the quiet of the night, amidst the chaos of poverty, an unspoken love bloomed. Zain became her anchor. His belief in her became the shield she wore into the ring. Act 3. The fall before the climb. The road to the national championship was paved with blood. Noor tore through the regional qualifiers, her unorthodox, aggressive style catching everyone off guard. They called her the Iron Rose of Lyari. But tragedy has a habit of striking when hope is at its highest. 2 weeks before the grand finals in Islamabad, Sakina collapsed. The asthma had manifested into a severe lung infection. The hospital demanded an exorbitant amount for immediate surgery. Noor went to the local loan shark, a ruthless man named Bilal, who agreed to give her the money under one condition. Noor had to throw the final match. Bilal had placed massive bets on her opponent, Natasha, a wealthy, highly trained elite boxer from an affluent sports academy. You lose in the 3rd round, or your mother dies in that hospital ward. Bilal smiled, his teeth stained with pawn. Noor was shattered. She sat in the hospital corridor, her head in her hands, weeping silently. Zain found her there. When she told him the truth, he grabbed her shoulders. If you throw this fight, Noor, you kill your soul. Your mother is fighting for her breath. You have to fight for her pride. We will find another way. Zain sold his vintage cameras, his car, and borrowed from estranged relatives to clear a portion of the hospital bill. Buy Noor the time she needed, but the mental toll was heavy. Noor entered the stadium in Islamabad, carrying the weight of the world on her bruised shoulders. Act 4. The Symphony of the Ring. The Islamabad arena was packed. The contrast was stark. Natasha entered with smoke machines, a massive entourage, and a roaring crowd of elite sponsors. Noor walked out in a faded tracksuit, flanked only by a limping coach Tariq and a nervous Zain holding his camera. The bell rang. Round E. Natasha was fast, precise, and brutal. She targeted Noor's ribs, mocking her. "Go back to the gutters, street girl," Natasha whispered during a clinch. A heavy right hook caught Noor flush on the jaw. Noor hit the canvas. The referee began the count. E.R. Sen. The arena was a blur. Noor looked out into the crowd. She saw Zain, his eyes shouting for her to rise. She thought of her mother in the hospital bed, of Ali's bare feet running through the Lyari mud. "Get up, Noor." Coach Tariq's voice echoed. "Don't let them tell you where you belong." At the count of 8, Noor stood up, spitting out blood and her mouthpiece. She smiled. The street girl was done playing by the rules of the rich. Round 2 and 3 were an absolute war. Noor stopped trying to box elegantly. She turned the ring into a Lyari alleyway. She absorbed Natasha's clinical jabs and answered with ferocious, bone-crushing body shots. The crowd shifted. The underdogs in the stadium began chanting her name. Noor, Noor, Noor. Act 5. The Ultimate Glory. The final round. Both fighters were exhausted, breathing heavily, their eyes swollen shut. It was a matter of pure willpower. Natasha threw a desperate, wild left hook. Noor, remembering Tariq's words about discipline, dipped her shoulder, a perfect, calculated slip, and countered with a devastating, explosive right uppercut, right to Natasha's chin. It was a cinematic, slow-motion moment. The sweat flew off Natasha's face as she collapsed to the canvas, completely unconscious. The referee didn't even need to count. He grabbed Noor's hand and hoisted it into the air. Winner by knockout and the new national champion, Noor Anwar. The stadium erupted into absolute pandemonium. Flashbulbs went off like a thunderstorm. Noor fell to her knees, weeping tears of sheer relief and triumph. Tariq climbed into the ring, throwing his arms around her, tears streaming down his rugged face. Zain dropped his camera, leaped over the ropes, and pulled Noor into a fierce, breathless embrace amidst the raining gold confetti. "You did it," he whispered against her hair. "The world knows who you are now." Epilogue. A new dawn. Months later, the mud of Lyari was still there, but Noor's life had changed forever. The championship trophy sat proudly on a brand new wooden cabinet in a secure, beautiful apartment. Sakina, looking healthy and vibrant, was cooking in a modern kitchen, while Ali played with a brand new football. Noor stood on her new balcony, looking at the city. She wasn't wearing her bandages today. Instead, a gold medal caught the evening sun around her neck. Zain walked up behind her, wrapping a warm jacket around her shoulders. He held up his camera, capturing her smile. "What's next, champ?" Zain asked. Noor looked at the horizon, her eyes as fierce as ever, but filled with peace. "The Olympics, Zain. We're just getting started."